Mailchimp and Shopify team up in an e-commerce boost. Tell me more about this one.
Yeah, so I mean, it sort of says it in the title. Mailchimp and Shopify have partnered, so they're basically doing a direct integration between the two platforms. Mailchimp traditionally as the newsletter, email kind of software, but they're, as I think we've discussed in previous episodes, branching out into sort of adjacent service offerings. So I think I just wanted to mention this one because it was interesting to me for these two to pair up, because of course you've got a lot of probably e-commerce platforms that would be using Mailchimp to send out their newsletters for, sales and all of that sort of stuff. So having that direct integration with Shopify just removes all sorts of barriers to purchasing. And I think that's really exciting. The other thing that the article sort of mentioned was around the analytics that people will be able to access. So it'll basically combine your analytics in Mailchimp and Shopify, which I imagine will give you incredible customer insights about who's clicking on things, where they're going, whether they're buying from your emails or not, because I think that can be difficult to track sometimes, and all sorts of other stuff. So it'll just be interesting to see how these two interact going forward, and how, like, what that will mean for some of these smaller businesses who use platforms such as Shopify and Mailchimp.
Yeah, this is also interesting given what we talked about at the start with Vistaprint acquiring another company. I mean, this is all the benefits of an acquisition, um, without a company having to acquire the other. Though I wouldn't be surprised if either one of these companies comes out and says we just acquired this other company,
Mm-hmm.
at some point. I'm trying to remember though. Was Mailchimp bought recently? What
I don't know
was
if it
it?
was bought. I think we discussed its valuation. It had some crazy valuation, maybe.
Ah, yes, yes.
Don't remember what it is off the top of my head, though.
Oh, yes. It was bought by Intuit. Sorry. So
Ah,
it was
yeah.
bought by Intuit, for $12 billion. So, um, I wouldn't be surprised if Intuit reaches out to Shopify to buy Shopify as well, in
Yeah.
time. But these sorts of integrations would have been in the works for a long, long time. But like you said, Kelsey, I think it sort of puts more power in the hands of the consumer. In this case, small business owners, which is never ever a bad thing. Um, so I think my big takeaway from this episode is that there's a lot happening to make it very easy for small business owners to do a lot of design and websites and production themselves. Um, and the scary takeaway is just what Facebook's doing with the change of name.
Yeah, absolutely. I just feel sad about Dolomites, to be honest. I get it and I agree with it closing, but there's a little part of me that has a very strong connection to it and the memories I have around it, which
Yeah,
is the whole
it kind
point.
of feels like, you know, Vegemite stopping production or
Yeah.
something of that scale almost, isn't it? For
Yeah.
any Australian. Saying that, Dolomites doesn't have probably the international recognition that
No.
something like Vegemite has, but in Australia, I would say Dolomites is. I mean, if
Mm.
Vegemite, Dolomite, they sort of even go hand in hand.
Very true.